So believe it or not, somebody actually predicted a Joe Biden win in 2020, and he was right. It's a historian who's predicted every election correctly since 1984, and he's currently telling everybody Biden is on track to win the White House based on his 13 keys metric. Now, I'm not here to rain on your parade, but let this be a warning. If you think you've won, you've lost. You're going to have to redouble your efforts. Register everyone you can to vote because the game is certainly different. Everything's changing. We had the story earlier in the week about a Democrat who was arrested for voter fraud, facilitating a voter fraud operation using mail-in ballots. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't predict it. But we do have this story, which I think is worth listening to. A historian who predicted every election correctly since 1984 says Biden is leading the race for the White House, but there are enough issues the pendulum could swing in Trump's favor. He has 13 keys that he goes through. Party mandate, contest, incumbency, third party, short-term economy, long-term economy, policy change, social unrest, scandal, foreign military failure, foreign military success, incumbent charisma, and challenger charisma. Now, the interesting thing about the charisma issue is, it's an opinion, I guess, but this guy has used this system based on his views to accurately predict the past several elections. Now, it's funny. He actually predicted Joe Biden. From American University, Washington, American.edu, does Alan Lichtman stand by his 13 keys prediction of a Joe Biden win? October 28th, 2020, this guy predicted Joe Biden was going to win using this system. And I'll break down what he said back then, and Joe Biden actually won. Now, the funny thing here is, I don't think Joe Biden won the election. I believe he won the vote. He won the electoral vote count. He won the process. He became the president. What is this distinction? In terms of a core argument between Trump's presidency and a potential Biden presidency, Trump wins handily. In terms of invigorating people, inspiring them, and getting them to go out in the streets and show up to vote, Trump wins handily. In terms of collecting the votes to have a higher vote total, in that literal sense, Joe Biden won because of universal mail-in voting and ease of access. But that is to say, most of these people, I shouldn't say most, but a large portion of those who gave Joe Biden the win for the presidency didn't care enough to actually go out and vote. People had to go to them through ballot harvesting, door campaigns, etc. But here's what he said, this professor, back in 2020. They asked in 2016, your 13 keys correctly predicted a Trump win. In 2019, the keys pointed towards another Trump win, but that has now changed. How many keys are turned against Trump? So again, this is back in October of 2020, right before the election. He says there are 7 keys turned against Trump, one more than is needed to predict his defeat, according to the keys to the White House system that has correctly predicted the outcomes of the presidential election since '84. The negative keys are mandate, because Republican losses in the midterm elections of 2018, short-term economics, because of an election year recession, that's COVID. Long-term economic key, because of the sharply negative growth this year. Social unrest, protests raging across the land. Scandal. Trump is only the third American president to be impeached by the full U.S. House of Representatives. Foreign military success, because the lack of an acclaimed success abroad. And 12, incumbent charisma, because Trump appeals only to a narrow base. Now, I think it's important to point out, these are just opinions. Trump charisma, are you kidding? I'd say he had it. Trump had the charisma. Are you nuts? Joe Biden doesn't have any charisma. Nobody was appealed to by Joe Biden. Here's what I really think. I think this guy is just giving his opinion and he got lucky. We're not reading about all the other guys who made predictions with their systems because they got it wrong. But here's what he says today. Lichtman's system pays no heed to polling. However, and shows Biden winning. At present, Lichtman said Biden wins on key 3, an incumbent running for re-election. Fair point. I agree with that. He has not faced a serious challenge for his party's nomination. I agree with it. Well, no, I don't agree with that. RFK Jr. was a serious challenge. They cut him out. How could you say he hasn't faced a serious challenge? He says, which wins him key 2 and has made, he hasn't faced a serious challenge. I'm going to say this. He is the incumbent, but he loses number 2. RFK Jr. is challenging him, but they booted him from the party and wouldn't let him run. Okay, let's see where he goes. Major policy changes. The incumbent administration affects major changes in national policy. This one's interesting because I like this as a metric. He's not suggesting it's a positive or negative thing, just that something happened. I actually agree. People want to, they say, do something, do something. They don't care what you did, as long as they can say he's doing something. Seriously. He wins key 6, favorable long-term economic trends. I find that absolutely laughable. Real per capita economic growth post-inflation over the past 4 years has equaled or exceeded the average growth rate during the previous 2 presidential terms. Okay, fine. I'm going to give it to him. Not like everybody's feeling Biden, what are they calling it? It's not Bidenflation, Bidenomics. Lichtman also gives Biden key 13, which states, the challenging party candidate is not charismatic or a national hero. My friend, Trump's leading in the polls. Joe Biden's approval ratings in the gutter. Challenger charisma. The challenging party candidate is not charismatic or a national hero. Hyperpolarization. I think it's tough to agree with this. Not that he's wrong to say that people don't like Trump, but we are not in that same era anymore. So we'll see. It'll be funny if this guy's prediction proves incorrect moving forward, and then everyone just forgets that he ever made any predictions. But hey, I wouldn't count him out. He admitted Trump is a hero to some, but said the definition only applies to bipartisan heroes in the mold of Eisenhower. And I got to be honest, like Barack Obama didn't fall into that. Republicans despised him. Trump wins 3 categories. 1, party mandate. That is, the Republicans won narrowly in 2022. After the 2022 midterm elections, the Democrats hold fewer seats in Congress than they did after the 2018. Trump wins key 12 because Biden is neither charismatic nor a national hero. Very interesting. And they kind of negate each other. Trump's third win is key 11 because Lichtman judges there has been no major foreign policy or military success. To that extent, Biden loses on 10. Military failure, abject. Lichtman argued the 2021 withdrawal from Afghanistan would not register on his tally, that it was hardly mentioned during the Republican presidential debates, and people appear to have forgotten it. Laughable. This is the turning point where Joe Biden's approval rating sank. Perhaps the most contentious is key 9. The incumbent administration is untainted by major scandal. Very interesting. Lichtman says the Trump campaign has not yet managed to make any scandal stick to the Biden administration. Lichtman, a Democrat, said his system is not based on any personal opinion. Here is the secret to being a successful forecaster. The most important thing is keeping your own personal views out of it. I've called about as many Republican wins as Democratic wins. In 2016, I was virtually alone in predicting a win for Donald Trump. Fair point. I don't know that he's right. I don't know that I agree. But I strongly suggest people take this seriously and try and figure out how, in these metrics, they can improve a Trump candidacy. That is to say, he did not mention third party. Is it a joke? Let's go through this, and I'll give you my assessment. Party mandate, Trump wins. Contest, Trump wins. So that's 2 for Trump. There is no serious contest for the incumbent party nomination. There is, RFK Jr. Incumbency, Joe Biden wins. Third party, there was no significant third party or independent campaign. Wrong. Trump wins. RFK Jr. was booted from the Democrats, so he was challenging on the Democrat side, and now he's challenging as an independent. So that's 2. Short-term economy. Bad. That one goes for Trump. People are complaining. They're saying, I'm not feeling any of this. Long-term economics. I'm going to go ahead and give that one to Joe Biden, which I believe puts him at 3. He's got incumbency. He's got, no, that gives him 2. What does he have? He's got party mandate goes to Trump. Contest goes to Trump. Incumbency goes to Biden. Third party goes to Trump. Short-term economy goes to Trump. And this puts long-term economy for Biden. So we're at 6. Policy changes. Biden did. Fair point. Social unrest. There is no sustained social unrest. That goes for Joe Biden. Scandal. I believe that Joe Biden, this one's a toss-up. I'm not going to give it to either one because I don't see any scandals. Foreign military failure. That goes to Trump. Biden failed. Foreign military success. There is no success for Joe Biden. That goes to Trump. Trump is now at 6. Incumbent charisma. Trump. Biden sucks. Challenger charisma. Toss-up. Donald Trump sits at 7 to Biden's 4, based on a legitimate assessment, in my opinion. Now, I could be wrong. You might say this, that, or otherwise. It really does come down to opinion. But I have to wonder how he's drawn his assessment. Is it a joke? RFK Jr. was polling in the double digits against Biden, so they cut him off the primary. So perhaps you can argue there's no contest because they didn't allow it. Fine, Trump goes to 6. But third party, it's still there. So tell me, 6-4, that's where we're currently at. I'd say, based on your scale, Trump's on track for a win. But hey, who am I to know? This guy's made the predictions. I think it's important you pay attention to him. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all then.